Hi, I'm Bill Sloss, Program Manager for School Data Sync, and in this video, I'll show you how to deploy School Data Sync using SDS format CSV files. In order to deploy SDS successfully, you must have an Office 365 for Education tenant, a global admin account, and the School Data Sync Plan 1 service enabled within your license. If you meet these prerequisites, you're ready to deploy SDS. Now let's walk through it. To begin deploying SDS, open a private modern browser and navigate to sds.microsoft.com. Once the page renders, click the sign-in link in the upper right-hand corner. When prompted, enter your global administrator credentials. If this is your first time logging into SDS, you'll be greeted with a settings page, which will allow you to enable or disable School Data Sync. Ensure you toggle the switch to the On position to enable School Data Sync if you're greeted with this page. Once you've landed on the SDS Sync dashboard homepage, click the Add Profile button to begin the SDS Setup Wizard. To begin the SDS setup, you first need to specify a name for your sync profile. A sync profile is just a collection of settings and configurations that define how and what SDS will synchronize to your Office 365 tenant. Once you've named your sync profile, pick the connection method SDS will use to sync your school's data. If syncing using CSV files, choose the Upload CSV Files option shown. Next, choose the format of the CSV files you're uploading. If you're syncing CSV files in the SDS format, choose CSV Files SDS format. Once you've made your selection, click Start. On the Sync Options page, decide whether you'll be syncing new or existing users. If new users, SDS will create user accounts for each teacher and student within your CSV dataset. If syncing existing users, SDS will add extension attributes on top of the already existing users within your tenant for each of the students and teachers within your CSV dataset. For this video, we'll select the existing users option, since my users are already created in my Office 365 tenant. Once you've selected the appropriate option, it's time to upload your CSV files. Click the blue Upload Files button. Then click Add Files. Then select your 6 CSV files in the SDS format. Once they're shown, click Upload. SDS will need to complete a short validation process when the files are uploaded to look for formatting issues and errors within the files. If no errors are detected or generated, click OK. Next, in the Select School and Section Properties menu, select the attributes you plan to synchronize. This selection should mirror the attributes contained within your CSV files. Next, you have the option to allow SDS to replace invalid characters in line during the sync process. As special characters are encountered, SDS will replace them with an underscore if this option is selected. Next, you have the option to control the section display name. SDS will always write the display name during first time sync when it creates the Office 365 group. This option decides if SDS will overwrite the display name for each subsequent sync, or if you want to allow the teachers to overwrite and manage the section display name after the first time sync. Next, you have the option to delay processing for student enrollments. This is helpful when you don't want to expose your student rosters in advance of the school start date. Be sure to set a date early enough to allow sync to complete processing before you need your students to access the Office 365 group and class team. Large datasets can take several days to fully process student enrollments. Small districts may complete within a few hours, so plan accordingly. Next, you can decide if you would like to license all students and teachers for Intune for Education. Ensure that you have enough licenses available within your tenant before checking this option. Once you've made your selections, click Next. On the Teachers Options page, select your Identity Matching options. This is where you'll tell SDS how to match teachers from your CSV files to users in Office 365. In the Primary Key Source Directory option, select the attribute you want to use for matching. If you need to add a domain to your source attribute, select the appropriate domain from the drop-down menu. Finally, select the target attribute which you are matching to. Your source attribute plus the domain selected should equal this value. If they match, the identity will sync. If they don't match, you'll see an error for a failed match after your sync completes. See the identity matching link at the end of this video for more detail on how to configure the appropriate settings here. Next, select the teacher properties you plan to sync. You should mirror the attributes that will be included in your CSV file in this menu. Once you've made your selection, click Next. On the Student Options page, select your Identity Matching options. This is where you'll tell SDS how to match students from your CSV file to users in Office 365. In the Primary Key Source Directory option, select the attribute you want to use for matching. If you need to add a domain to your source attribute, select the appropriate domain from the drop-down menu. Finally, select the target attribute which you are matching to. Your source attribute plus the domain selected should equal this value. If they match, the identity will sync. If they don't match, you'll see an error for a failed match after sync completes. See the identity matching link at the end of this video for more detail on how to configure the appropriate settings here. Next, select the student properties you plan to sync. You should mirror the attributes that will be included in your CSV file in this menu. Once you've made your selections, click Next. On the Summary page, review the sync profile settings and ensure no changes are needed. Once you're happy with your final selections, click the blue Create Profile link at the bottom of the page. Once submitted, wait for the profile creation to complete. This may take a minute or two. Refresh the page until you see the sync profile populate with the blue icons and shows a sync status. Once the profile is created, SDS will run through a Precinct validation check. If errors are encountered, sync will stop and give the admin a chance to remediate the errors before starting the real sync. Once remediated, you can upload your new files to begin processing the sync again. If you want to ignore the errors, you can also proceed without remediating. Just click the Resume Sync option on the profile to actually start the real sync. If no errors are encountered during the Precinct validation cycle, the real sync will start automatically. Once sync is started, continue to check back on your sync status. And that's how you deploy School Data Sync using SDS format CSV files. Thank you. And here are some helpful links if you're deploying SDS using the SDS format CSV files.